Yo, what's up guys, Nakama here, and we're going to be power scaling all the RWBY characters. I've usually been talking about the writing of the show, not so much about the power scaling, so this will definitely be a very interesting, unique video. So Adam is strong, yeah, strong hunter, you could put him there. It's comparison, right? It's never really about, oh, this character is strong. It's usually about how strong they are in comparison to other people. We'll talk about like the main characters first, or the characters who fought a lot first. So Blake and Adam. I know some people are angry about Blake winning against Adam, or holding her own against Adam, and think that Adam is super OP. But I disagree. I think the Volume 6 fight was actually kind of accurate to what was happening in the Black trailer, whereas the Volume 3 fight, in my opinion, was the biggest bullshit. Yes, in order for things to make perfect sense, then there has to be some certain scenes or fights that you have to consider bullshit. Not everything in RWBY, power scaling wise, makes a whole lot of sense. Like, look at this. Okay, sure, they're clashing first. Then she falls, okay, sure. Like, Adam even stops that stupid Grim.
Before you suffered for your betrayal, my love. This could have been our day. Can't you see that?
Seriously, get up! Get up first, okay, sure. This is not just like fights happening, but like,
Want is impossible.
like look at it. She just doesn't get up. She could have just simply jumped over and like escaped or like fought back, but she instead decided to shoot.
Understand? Because all I want is you.
I think she just was like super scared and her body froze, and she just didn't think she would win. Otherwise, she could have easily like fought back.
Play.
Like, this isn't a matter of like power scaling or something. This is just plot kicking in. The animators kind of being lazy, I guess.
And as I set out upon
Get
this world
up!
to deliver the justice
Why are you lying on the ground?
he deserves,
Look at how long she's like lying there. Adam didn't do any damage. She's all being like lying on the ground, being all submissive and
everything.
this is sheer nonsense. Okay, you saw it. You saw this fight was basically nonsense. This wasn't even a fight. Blake just really likes lying on the ground. This is dumb. This is so dumb. Volume 3, you know, a lot of people love it. I still think it's a great volume, but it has its own flaws and dumb moments. This is arguably the dumbest moment in the entire volume. It's not. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing in terms of writing. Like, Blake froze after seeing Adam after so long, and she's scared of him. But like, that's also kind of like bullshit, because why would she be so afraid against Adam to the point that she will freeze up like this? Adam didn't do anything. She didn't even get cut once. I'm not going to do something like, oh, Adam is a magician. No, fuck that. Daddy Adam, I'll lie on the ground and while you like talk shit to me, talk dirty to me. This is bullshit. So if you think that this scene is bullshit, because Blake is throwing, she's throwing hard, and if you take all that away and think about these characters at their peaks, then the Volume 6 fight actually makes a lot more sense. I think Adam has a lot of advantages over Blake. Blake just doesn't really have much of a way to damage Adam. How she was able to steal Adam's sword for a while until she started to get beaten, but so that's pretty cool. And she's also really good at dodging. Adam, even if he has a one kill move where her sword cuts through aura, it's still not enough to take down Blake, because Blake is super good at dodging a lot of Adam's attacks. So if that's it, let's just talk about the main characters for here. Yang, Blake, Adam, they're kind of close. They're really close to one another. Yang is better than Blake's sword has to transform. It's actually really well done compared to the Volume 3 I'm gonna lie on the ground fight. Yang was definitely a little too good at predicting Adam's moves. Like this almost feels like inhuman. Yang's reaction speed feels almost like insanely good. Being able to dodge this is kind of insane. Insanely strong. And yeah, before that, I still think Adam is really stronger than Yang maybe. But then again, here's the thing. There's also kind of a bit of a plot-inducing stuff going on here. But like, when these two are like teaming up on Adam, there's really not much Adam could do. Like, he was holding on his ground. but still 2 against 1. He's constantly getting beaten, and this scene is kind of plot induced, sort of. Like, why would it even like create this huge of a shockwave? And his sword charges up and he gives back like red aura attacks. That's what he does. But this shockwave is a little too good, too much. Like it's way too strong. Like why will this even happen? Like none of Adam's like arsenal does this. So it's a plot induced thing that makes Blake fall off the edge, so that Yang and Adam could have their one-on-one. I'm still kind of glad that this happened overall, because if this didn't happen, then Adam would have like lost pretty easily. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not like something like this. It's still, they're really comparable. Yang has just better ways to. She has a really good semblance, and she can also maneuver herself with her gunshot recoils much better, whereas Blake doesn't have that advantage. But Blake can dodge better. But Yang's her skill is really good. She's still a really strong fighter. What I'm trying to say is this is also really debatable too. RWBY is interesting power scaling wise. Would it be something like this? Who's strong, Blake or RWBY? It's actually kind of debatable because RWBY's semblance is really strong, but unfortunately, Kristen Rose is just such a bad, clunky weapon. Like if she was given like Yang's shotgun gauntlets or even Blake's sword, I actually think RWBY will perform actually better. But Kristen Rose is just such a clunky, huge, slow-ass weapon. But despite that, I still think RWBY does a fine job of her. And she also seems to have super strength because she's able to wield Kristen Rose really well. This fight is the one that's most talking about. Look how bad this is. She has to like hit someone with its inner side of her scythe. If Kristen Rose just had a outer edge like Rose Harbinger, then it will just be a much better weapon. Kristen Rose is just kind of a bad weapon, but this Warsaw mode is much better. I kind of wish she just switched to this mode all the time. Honestly, she used this and then she switched back. And what? She's trying to hit Neo with the bar of her weapon. Even if she did hit Neo, it wouldn't do anything. It's kind of bad, but I still think it's kind of comparable. Her semblance just makes things so random. If she is fighting in some sort of a place like this where there are like people could fall down, RWBY will be in a huge advantage because she can literally fly using her semblance. What happened in RWBY versus Harriet, where if she can just grab Harriet's bow and like tie her up, then she's also really good. But otherwise, I honestly don't even want to put RWBY above Blake. So there are certain unprogrammatic things about Blake's sword too, but like at the end of the day, a gun and a sword is still somewhat more practical than a scythe that's huge and you have to hit with the inner edge, which is so hard. Scythes are kind of a bad weapon for reasons. Just make RWBY's Kristen Rose so similar to the Harbinger. Just make RWBY's Kristen Rose copy Harbinger in terms of design and make it so that it has an outer edge. That will fix a lot of it. It'll help. It'll definitely help make her stronger, but I really don't want to put her above Blake. And since we're talking about RWBY, then we have to talk about Neo, because RWBY and Neo were fighting a lot. They faced twice, and RWBY won both times, but it's just kind of the whole writing thing, I guess. And even in real life, even if fights aren't that simple, usually there's a lot of luck involved, and RWBY's victories have a lot of luck involved. She abused her semblance and pushed Neo off the edge. And against Yang and Neo, their first Neo versus Yang fight, Neo managed to knock out Yang, but that knockout is also kind of undeserved. Neo wasn't damaging Yang as much, and despite that, Yang only got one hit in the face with her umbrella, and then afterwards she gets one hit on the ceiling with her head and she gets knocked out, which is weird. I also think that her aura was just getting low from fighting the Grim all day. And in Volume 8, Yang's aura was already so low to the point that she was able to use her semblance, which means that Neo's victory over Yang in Volume 8 also was a lucky shot. And Yang was already damaged. Her aura was really low, so it's a lucky shot. I still think Neo has overall advantage, but nah, she's not that better than Adam, in my opinion. If Yang and Blake fought Neo together, and there wasn't anything like plot induced or there is some sort of a plot reasons for some or the other to lose, I still think these two could take down Neo. People are overhyped Neo so much. Yeah, a lot of her wins against Yang are plot induced. A lot of her losses against Ruby are also plot induced. Oh yeah, Weiss. Weiss is interesting because she grew a lot, like a lot. There's even a possibility that this might make sense. I mean, sure, if you're talking about the old school Ruby, then this will be a lot different. Weiss, who's fighting against the Grunt, Fawn's Grunt, like this Weiss is significantly way worse than the Weiss we currently have. The Weiss we currently have can summon, can use like so many dust attacks, and she just doesn't even have to engage in like that. And she has so many experiences and toolkits to confuse the enemy, to buy herself time. Whereas this Weiss has to engage in close combat, and her like ability to increase her speed has the downside of her like slowing down. That's the headcanon explanation as to why she lost this fight. Like she kind of like slows down in here because of her time dilation having a drawback of making her making her slow down after using it. Back then, she was something like this or something like this. She had to get into close range, and sometimes she would like run out of. And her like ranged attacks weren't that super good. They like slightly damaged the opponent and did nothing else. Whereas the current Weiss can like create like giant walls of. Then again, Weiss also was able to do that. Weiss is kind of really inconsistent, I guess. But I think she like if you give her a little bit of prep time to summon then like with her summons she might be able to take it a lot of down. She's strong. Even Volume 8, she was the only one who didn't get her shift fricked against the Hound. Because she like doesn't have to engage in close combat. And in the final fight against Cinder, she was doing a really good job. Being able to summon that Queen Lancer and flying roll around, something that none of the other characters can really accomplish. I think Weiss might be currently the most strongest character due to all the summons and stuff. Let's just talk about these. They're literal gods. There's no reason to talk about this. Just put it there. I don't know how Flint got stronger. I guess I'll just put Flint somewhere around. So let's talk about Coco. She had a few fights in Volume 3 and that's about it. And she lost against Mercury in almost a 2-1 situation. She's bad. Unlike Ruby, she doesn't even have a good semblance. Her machine gun is cool, I guess, but what happens in close range? She just has her suitcase and she flings it around. Like one thing that I realized from Ruby is that like a lot of the guns are almost worse than real life guns because the shots are almost slower somehow. Yeah, Mercury I think is around here. Yeah, I think she might be a lot stronger than Yang because he was in their fight against Yang in Volume 3. He was trying to lose, and in Volume 5, he was somewhat winning against Yang. Yeah. I mean, then again, like Yang also won her Volume 3 fight because of her semblance. So yeah, it's a bit debatable. This one I think is really debatable. But I'll just give it to Mercury. We haven't seen him fight a lot, but it's weird. It's really weird. I think Yang semblance just makes things really weird. But then again, they're evenly matched. I just like to put villains on the top because it feels nice when the underdog kind of wins, I guess. Mercury might be, I might underestimate Yang, and that's good because that means she might win. Crow, he's probably stronger than Adam. It still makes me wonder, though. In terms of artilleries, then you almost want to put Adam above Crow because Adam has a one-shot kill. He has ranged attacks, and Crow's ranged attack gun pistol thing is kind of bad. It doesn't really do much. Adam has that like gun and stuff, but he also doesn't need to switch into the gun mode. He can just use those energy attacks. And his move slice is really strong. Debatable. There's even an argument to something like this. But yeah, I guess the thing about Crow is that his attacks are super fast and super strong. Like I think in terms of movements, he's also really fast. I think the animators did a really good job of making Crow's movements really fast. Even in Volume 7, comparing Volume 7 Crow fights, the Volume 7 fights that Yang, Blake, and Ruby had Ruby and Wise had against the A-subs. I actually think the Tyrion and Crow versus Clover fight was actually faster a little bit. That just might be me, but there is some catch about this though. Like Ruby's semblance is really strong, and Ruby beat Harriet, but Harriet was beating Crow, so it feels so weird to put Harriet this high. She lost against Ruby, but after her loss, she didn't lose at all. Instead, she actually beat the shit out of Crow for a while. And yeah, in a one-on-one situation, she's really strong. Ruby did, kind of cheat her win. She kind of does it a lot. In most circumstances, like if Ruby and Harriet fought against one another 10 times, 7 times out of 10, Harriet would probably win. And the other 3 times, Ruby will win because, her semblance is really good. So yeah, I think the odds for actually Harriet winning is higher. This is also why power scaling characters is kind of weird, because you can have moments like certain characters losing because of plot, or certain characters winning because of field advantage. Like I said, Ruby has a super advantage in places where she can push her opponent down, because her semblance is really fast, and she can use that to her advantage. Like I honestly think that she could just throw away the crescent rolls and just have knives in her body, and that will probably make her fight more pragmatically, because she can just go behind the opponent's back with her semblance and just stab him to death. That's also one possibility. Tyrion, I think, was shown again and again that he's stronger than Mercury. Like he always kind of beats Mercury a little bit when they sort of scuffle with one another. And Tyrion is also, I think Tyrion is stronger than Crow. Like during the first fight, Crow was still taking help from Ruby and Team Juniper. You might think that Ruby got in the way, that's why Crow lost against Tyrion, but no. The way I see it, Tyrion actually disarmed Crow first, and he was laughing maniacally, but Ruby distracted Tyrion with her sniper rifle, giving a chance for Crow to punch Tyrion. And as stupid as fighting with a fishing rod is, I think being able to fish out the opponent's weapon and yank it out of the opponent's hands and disarm them is really strong. And he also did really good against this duo. Look at this, he just yanked it out. This is just pure magic or something. Yeah, Tyrion's semblance kind of sucks, honestly. He just touched it. It doesn't even break your close aura at all. Trying to touch your opponent like that is super hard, and that didn't do much. It didn't break close aura at all. Tyrion's semblance sucks, but he is good because of semblance. Yeah, I mean he did a really good job against this double team. I think if Crow and Clover did a one-on-one, I think there's a higher chance of Clover winning, in my opinion. I'm going to put Wise so high, but what does Neo has that can stop Wise? Wise summons a giant fucking armor. What does Neo do to destroy the giant freaking armor? What can Neo do? Nothing. She can't do anything. She doesn't have any damaging moves. She's really good at dodging and blocking, and her umbrella seems to deny physical projectiles. Disobeys the laws of physics. But that doesn't matter when Wise is double teaming. Wise is throwing out so many ranged attacks, throwing out so many summons. So what does Neo do against that? She has to destroy all the summons and then damage Wise, and she always sucked at damaging. The only reason she won against Yang is because of plot conveniences. But I'll give that to Neo. Even if Yang and Neo fought, there isn't really much Yang can do to hurt Neo. But at the same time, Neo could chip away Yang's health slowly until Yang uses her semblance, and then they kind of duke it out. But if Yang uses her semblance, she also might beat Neo. But this is really debatable. I think these 5 are really debatable. These 5 are kind of debatable. This might be less debatable. So yeah, I think these stuff are kind of debatable in general. Harriet is honestly should be debatable, but whatever. She's strong. She's super fast, and she can beat the shit out of someone until their aura loses. Unfortunately, her punches doesn't seem to hold any impact. So she also suffers something similar to Neo in the sense that she sucks at damaging the opponent, even though she was able to punch a boulder open. Punches in general kind of doesn't really work well against Aura, I think. But then again, Crow's punches also are really hard. So ironically, despite not being super enhanced, Crow's punches deal a lot more damage than Harriet's. It's weird, it's weird. A story, when you're trying to tell a story and trying to make a certain result happen, then you have to like completely ignore logic sometimes, and that's hard. And sometimes people just so hard to logically to do certain things, right? I think Winter is definitely in general was stronger than Crow. I really wish people would like not look at the end result and jump to conclusions and instead listen to what I'm talking about, because there are two versions of Winter: the Winter Maiden and the normal version. The non-maiden version fought a lot, so I'll have to rank her, and I think she's stronger than Crow. I'm sorry, Crow. I know Crow has a lot of cool rivals like Winter, Tyrion, and Clover, who are basically on the same level as him. But disregarding that, I think Crow, like in general, just has less tools than some like Winter. Winter can dual wield, and actually during their fight in Volume 3, Winter actually did land a hit on Crow, and she also managed to hurt him a little bit with her birds, I guess. It doesn't really do much. I don't understand why she just distracts their opponent with birds or something. It doesn't really do much unless she's like planning to double team the opponent by using her birds and then like attack while the opponent is distracted by the birds. If she does that, then she's kind of strong too, but she can summon. That's a huge difference. She can summon a huge wolf. Why didn't she use that more often? I don't know. She did summon the Lancer against Cinder. Unfortunately, it kind of gets destroyed very easily. But even then, I think like double teaming Crow with a Beowulf summon or a Lancer summon is still a huge advantage that Crow doesn't have. If they fight without summons, I think they're almost evenly matched. I think Winter is kind of a bit stronger than Crow in my opinion. But in general, these are really debatable. Willow, weak. okay, let's talk about the characters that actually does matter. Elm is really strong. She's probably worse than Adam, that's for sure. She's also super strong, and I also think her loss against Yang and Blake was also kind of BS. I mean, then again, she's also not that of a great fighter all alone. When Yang was throwing explosives towards Elm, she just tanked it, and that probably led to her aura getting low. Yang has to be stronger than Mercury, I just realized. Because she did get a lot of explosives in Volume 7, and those were actually really big advantage because she can punch someone and put an explosive on them and then use those to blow up later after she gets away from the enemy. So that's a really huge advantage that Mercury doesn't have. Changes a few things, and I think also Elm is just a way worse fighter than Neo, I guess. She just rushes in, like tries to punch people, and she just tanks a lot of hits with her aura. She's not that great of a fighter, but she's not bad, but she's not that great. But if it was a one-on-one situation, I think Elm probably could have won. Wine is strong. Like lining it up like this makes it so that these two should won against these two. But it's so weird. Like Wine grabbing Blake is really strong, but at the same time, I think Yang and Blake has a better teamwork, whereas Elm and Wine was just throwing so hard that fight. Like if they weren't like trying to throw so hard, I think their base abilities should be stronger than like each one individual. Like Wine is stronger than Blake, but Elm is a bit stronger than Yang. I think that makes a lot more sense in my opinion. Like I'm not saying that I'm not saying there wasn't any plot reasons as to why Team RWBY won against Aesop's. But at the same time, it's really debatable. Wine being able to grab Blake from a far away range, whereas Blake being only able to dodge, it's such a big disadvantage. I think Wine specifically against Blake is super strong. Then again, Wine is also kind of a decent character overall. But I think his attacks are also really slow. Like people always point out how Aesop should have won against certain fights. But here's the thing. I also think this is such bullshit. Like there are reasons as to why Team RWBY. There are certain like lucky moments where Team RWBY got lucky wins against the Aesops. But this is just plot-induced nonsense. How did Y's lowest attack manage to push these three, all three of them off the ledge? So even if you like want to complain about Team RWBY having plot-induced victories, then Y also had some certain plot-induced victories too. So in general, I think Y is not even that strong. It's super debatable. This is really debatable. Cinder is a magician. Oh wait, why do I put plenty about magician? There is a mistake. I think it's probably around something here. They got blasted by Yang. Did Yang use her semblance? Probably. I don't remember. Probably something around here or something. Being wise isn't the greatest of achievements, but sure. At least he didn't get like. I mean, okay, he did kind of got soloed, but his hours were getting really low. And Salem's strong. Salem is obviously strong, godly. Strange fact, I still think Cinder somehow managed to have more magical abilities and power compared to Salem, because Salem is super. We only got one fight, sure, but at the same time, she didn't seem that super strong. Like, she wasn't that OP. Like, she's immortal, sure, and in the long run, if Cinder and Salem fought, then unless, of course, Salem could use her influences to make Cinder's hand go wild and make her immediately lose. But disregarding that, if you think Salem and Cinder are going to fight fair and square, then I think Cinder might put up a fight. She's a maiden, and Salem didn't feel like she was strong. Like, she's as strong as a maiden, I guess, but not strong, way stronger than maiden info. Logically speaking, Osman had much lower magic energy after sharing it with the maidens, but who knows, maybe sharing magic makes magic even stronger. Maybe Salem sucks because she didn't share her magic, and maybe there's some hidden lore reasons as to why that's the case. Maybe Osman sharing his magic made it so that the other four maidens unlocked magic, made it so that the maidens also became stronger than Osman. So maybe the Osman didn't lose much from sharing. So yeah, there's also that possibility too. Yeah, Salem is strong, is insanely strong. Cotton Gang, Novice Hunter, he's bad. He got scared by an Ursa and he punched one of his dude who actually stood up against Pyrrha. Pyrrha's still insanely strong. Like, she can just, her semblance is like Magneto. She's insane. Like, she can just semblance her Atom Sword away. This might kind of look kind of BS, but I think this actually makes sense. Pyrrha is, like, when she died, she was still strong. Let's just put Crow instead of Pyrrha's situation. Would she do good against Cinder? I doubt it. Pyrrha was actually able to disassemble a giant clock tower and able to contain Cinder and beat her up with those clock tower powers. Like, she's super strong. There's no question about that. She's basically Magneto. Absolutely crazy powerful semblance. Absolutely crazy powerful fighter too. Even without resemblance. But with resemblance, she can just beat Tyrion's Iron Tail, beat Chloe's Iron Fishing Rod, beat Crow's Iron Sword. Every character in RWBY has some sort of iron with them. So yeah, she's undefeatable. Cinder can just throw away all the iron in her being and just fight head on. Her fire swords don't use metal. I still think Pyrrha can beat the shit out of Crow. I don't give a shit about Crow's legendary hunter status. He's kind of overrated for considering how much he gets his shit wrecked by the Manticore, by Tyrion, or I mean Tyrion's really strong too. But even Harriet, RWBY beat Harriet. Then again, I also put Harriet really high. Does this make sense? Probably not. Harriet is so similar to Neo in my opinion. She was the only reason I put her this high was because she was beating the shit out of Crow. But the more I think about it, yeah, she can beat Crow up, but so what? I think I'm also really underestimating RWBY because she can escape from wine. Let's just do this. I think I'm really disregarding RWBY. Even if she did have certain main character victories, it's still victories and they weren't that far illogical. It made sense. Her semblance is broken. She just really needs to stop using normal version of Crescent Rose. Give RWBY a bunch of knives and she will just be a much better fighter. Penny, talking about Penny is super weird. Sure, in terms of her robot body, she should be here probably. But after losing her robot body, she's probably weaker than Syndra, so she will probably be something like this. But yeah, her robot body is actually really good. Unfortunately, it also has the downside of getting hacked. But we're not talking about that in a straight fight. So yeah, being able to scan for illusions, being able to charge up her special abilities, I actually think the Volume 8 Alpha documentary talked about how Penny was able to charge up her lasers in her robot body, but she couldn't do that in her human body. And also, she has a huge immunity to pain, and her body was like super resistant to a lot of attacks due to her having a robot body. Like she will get her ass wrecked by Pyrrha, but even then, if she had maiden powers, she might actually beat Pyrrha before that becomes a problem. She doesn't necessarily need to move her body in order to use the main powers. Ironwood, he's that strong. Maybe I might put Ironwood something like this, but otherwise he's just kind of bad. Like he get punched by Watts of all people. Like even during the melee fight, he wasn't that really good. And even he did hold a little bit against Team RWBY and stuff. No, not Team RWBY, Team Orange. I actually think that he should have gone down way faster. The reason he just kind of hold up is because in order to make the fight more interesting. That's the reason the fight kind of lasted longer, in my opinion. But other than that, I still think he's not that strong. Sure, his attacks also isn't that really fast. He did become super fast during his fight against Orange and Winter, but that's kind of giving him that's just animators giving him a little bit of a boost in order for the fight to go on a little longer. But I don't know. It's depending on which you consider more canon. Do you consider Ironwood, who's fighting against Watts, to be more canon, or do you consider Ironwood fighting against Orange to be more canon? Besides the whole punching and kicking, he has a gun and he just shoots them, and the guns and weapons are kind of really slow enough that people can actually dodge it. The reason that's making this so hard is because he was holding his own against Winter. If ever, he was beating Winter. So it's so weird. Looking back, I either have to think that Watts' ability to control the tower and the arena was that advantageous, or I actually have to consider Watts to be a really good fighter for everything to make sense. And that I would actually beating the shit out of Winter should make perfect sense. But at the same time, I would also have that broken laser weapon. But that super stupid laser weapon had a really bad melee combat again. How the fuck did that terribly clunky long range weapon was able to beat the shit out of Winter? How did I would win against Winter while holding that shitty weapon? Going back, I think, yeah, I mean, Winter has the main powers, so she obviously should be here. But I just want to make it so that, yeah, I think Winter is a bit stronger than Crow in her base form, but after becoming mating, obviously. My only explanation as to why I would won against Winter is because this weapon is really strong. So do I even give Ironwood this victory? Because he's less of a good fighter and more about the weapon. But that's also kind of a bad take because weapon choices do matter. This long range weapon is kind of good when it's long range, but when it's close combat, it's kind of ass. That weapon looks so bad when in close combat. How is this even damaging Winter? Ironwood is struggling to even hold the weapon and lift the weapon. How did he manage to uplift Winter's body with a hit like that? This doesn't make any sense physically. Sure, whatever. That should not have happened. Whatever, man. He has that stupid fucking thing where it denies the laws of physics, where touching the opponent a little bit makes it so that the opponent just flies into the air and gets flung, despite the fact that this heavy thing, Ironwood just barely managed to lift that heavy thing up, and he isn't even hitting the opponent with that much force. But sure, whatever. Whatever, he had that thing, and it also dealt a lot of laser damage. So with that clunky weapon that denies the laws of physics, then sure, Iron Man can beat Pro, I guess. Emerald is interesting. Illusions makes it so difficult to discern anything. Probably around somewhere around here. Maybe around here, like Ruby was able to deflect all of her bullets. And her chains also kind of deny the laws of physics as well. But whatever. If you're talking about the laws of physics, I think we really shouldn't. Because the enclosed entire fishing rod weapon just kind of stops making any sense. Being able to control illusions is kind of insane if you think about it. Yeah, I'm not going to put her above Mercury, but at the same time, if she just started abusing her semblance, like Ruby should, then she's gonna win a lot. I'll probably just put her here, honestly. I really don't feel easy about Iron Man. The only reason I put her here is because he beat Winter. Even if you think that, oh, he kind of got lucky with the laser shot, Winter still fought back. Her aura wasn't broken. So despite that, I was able to have that super strength to push back Winter and hold that clunky thing. Power scale, this is also why I don't want to talk about power scaling. Hazel's strong. Hazel is really strong. I'm actually really curious as to how he will do against the maidens. Probably something like this, honestly. He still managed his own against Salem, but at the same time, if Penny was there, she will probably give Salem a lot of trouble as well. The ability to just tank a lot of magic attacks for his entire body and just able to hold on to Salem and just he's just built different. His body just tanks so many like magic attacks and like semblance attacks. He's strong. He's super strong. John's volume 8 is good. He has a lot of tools up his sleeve, but unfortunately, I think he's just the best mid hunter, I guess. Yeah, like and the worst part about John is that he has the most practical weapons. The only thing he is missing is a gun. Every single character should definitely have. I think Jean just lacks a gun, but otherwise, in terms of melee combat, he's actually really competent. He has a shield to block the opponent's blow, and that shield can also blow the opponent away. He can use the shield to hover, and his sword is fine, good. It's a good sword. And swords are pragmatic, they're useful. There's a reason why they were used during warfare, and not scythes, but it's RWBY, so John just gets beaten up. Or just doesn't have a lot of victories, but he's always everything John is doing is that he's practical. He just doesn't have that magic, that bolt recoil magic. He doesn't have a broken. His semblance is kind of good too. He's just kind of forced to play support with his semblance. The one-on-one fight, which this tier list is based on, is not very good. Nora is strong. Amping yourself with lightning isn't even that hard. I would even put her like something like this. Maybe not as strong as Yang, because Yang started fighting really well after in Volume 6 and onwards. And well, Yang's loss against Neo in Volume 8 is kind of looking bad for her. It's plot in new stuff. It's whatever. When she's electrified, she actually hits Hazel out of the park. So like, it really depends on how much she's electrified. I honestly kind of just wonder why she just doesn't have any electric charge in her body at all times. Yeah, like she's able to also hit down doors that nobody else could hit down otherwise. So in that sense, oh boy, it's kind of weird. It's weird. I really don't understand power scaling. I think Nora should be extremely strong if she just carries like ways to literally charge herself at all times. Like if she does that, then she's strong. I don't know why she doesn't do that. Yeah, I think this makes more sense. Even then, they're all kind of in the same category of strong hunter. Marrow is broken. Honestly, Marrow's semblance makes things so difficult. Like, sure, I think the thing about Marrow is that his semblance costs a lot, being able to stop like that. But at the same time, you only need to stop them once. I guess in a one-on-one fight, it's not very good because you have to stop them. Then your teammates have to tie them up. He can still say stay and make the opponent stay, and then move towards them. So he just makes Clover and or whatever Tyrion or something make them stay, and then move towards them and like put a ball on them. The only like thing that's making me like doubt is that people are not really acknowledging the fact that his talent is really good, but he's kind of insane. He really truly is insane. Yeah, I honestly think it's somewhere around here, maybe even here. Okay, this might sound kind of dumb, but like in a one-on-one situation, it's weird. It's so weird. I don't feel good putting it like this. For the power scaling to make sense, sense, because let's be honest, none of this makes any sense. Okay, I think it's like this. It's stupid, but I have to put it like this. It's like this. I am like so much. I'm sleeping Kokim, okay? I'm going to ignore all that ranking bullshit. I don't care if Crow is a legendary hunter or Chloe is considered the team leader. I'm just going to rank all these characters by feats alone. I don't care if Harriet says they're the strongest huntsman in Atlas. I don't give a shit. I'm just going to scale these characters based on what they did in their feats, not on some arbitrary reason like, oh, Crow has a famous legendary hunter, or oh, Clover is the team leader of the Aesopes. I don't give a shit. Ruby is the team leader, but Yang and Weiss can beat her. I don't give a damn. So with that said, Nora is insanely strong because if she just had ways to like charge herself up, she can dish out damage more than any other character. She managed to like hit down a metal door, something that Weiss, with all for strong summons, couldn't do. And I don't think even Chrome will be able to do it. You know what? Fuck that shit. I'm going to do this. Yeah, this makes way more sense. This makes way more sense. So yeah, I don't give a shit about that. I think Nora should always carry those electric charge stuffs in her body at all times. Then she can go at super speed and punch their opponents. Like Nora lost against Tyrion, but Tyrion versus Team Ranger is so bullshit. Tyrion should not be able to like block a hit from an electrically charged Nora. The electrically charged Nora was able to hit Hazel out of the window, out of the fucking room. Electrically charged Nora was able to take down a giant metal door that nobody should be able to go through. And Mara has the ability to freeze the opponent. So in that sense, it might even be stuff like this. I think Peter Simmons just makes things a lot more difficult. So, so yeah, I think it's something like this. Honestly, it's so dumb. This power scaling is so dumb. But I have to like think to myself and say, okay, all this like legendary hunter and like all this fame and riches and stuff are bullshit. I'm just going on feats alone. Glinda is also kind of insane. Glinda can probably beat up Crow, honestly. Glinda has also like super telekinetic powers that she can like use. She has the power of Jean from X-Men. And if I know anything from Jean from X-Men, is that Jean is overpowered. She's OP as fuck. So yeah, I don't give a shit. The only thing that I think Nora with literally charged is super fast and she can like beat Glinda, but I don't give a shit. I don't care. I don't give a shit if Glinda is their teacher. I don't give a shit. Oscar is interesting because Oscar has magic abilities, which makes things very weird. He has some certain charged up attacks. So in most circumstances, sure, but like being able to just shoot out lasers at your opponent is kind of crazy. Like yeah, obviously he's saving up his energy, but we're talking about the best feats of these characters, and Oscar being able to shoot out magical bullets is kind of nutty. Yeah, Elite Hunter, why not? The Hound. Oh man, I really don't like the Hound. I don't like talking about the Hound, especially talking about the Hound's power scaling, because a lot of his victories are so much bullshit. Like being able to like manhandle Yang, Ren, and Oscar seems like a big feat, but at the same time, it's kind of dog shit. It's really dog shit, honestly. Okay, sure, maybe it's around here. Okay, sure, whatever. let's give the Hound a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. Like, sure, she gets how hard he gets. It gets hard countered by RWBY, but the Hound can tank a lot of hits also, and most importantly, it can also summon other Grim. But then again, I'm also trying to think about in terms of one-on-one situation. But if that were the case, then if summons were completely disallowed, then Wise shouldn't be this high. But so yeah, I'm counting the ability of Hound being able to summon Grim. In that case, sure, the Hound is strong. It's super strong, I guess. But other than that, I think Yang was kind of throwing against the Hound when she curve attacked, even if the Hound had Oscar as a hostage. Ren is weird. Like, he has this grappling hook ability, and it has the advantage of giving him more mobile abilities. Like, he can dangle from a cliff the chase fight against the Hound. And he's also able to use that to do some Spider-Man stuff, I guess. That ability is not very useful in a combat situation. Like, he tried to do the Spider-Man Splunky against Neo, and that was a really bad idea. I honestly think that move's really risky, and he keeps doing it again over and over again. And he has this a little bit of a pistol shots, which really doesn't do anything against anyone. Like, guns really don't do anything in RWBY for some reason. And his blades are actually really wonky. Doesn't really do much damage. It's also kind of unpragmatic too, as well. He has a lot of bad stuff going against him. I really wouldn't put him higher than this. Probably going to be this mid hunter, along with Jean, I guess. Alachota sisters, they lost against Yang, but at the same time, Monty's fights are really fast. Yeah, so if Monty was definitely animating all these fights, then the power scaling might change a lot. Monty really liked when his characters were moving fast and were strong. But other than that, yeah, they're mid. They're so mid. Sun is weird. Sun's semblance is kind of bad. Like, he can summon those monkey clones, but he has to stay completely still when using them, which is a big cost, in all honesty. But it's definitely makes it so it's balanced, because I watched Naruto and I know how shadow clones can be busted as hell if the user can just tag along with his shadow clones and double team his opponents. And Sun doesn't have that advantage, I think. And his clones also don't really do much. But his gunchucks are pretty cool. But it's also very wonky. But it still looks really strong, and especially the way how Sun fights. Like, being able to beat the shit out of your opponent with his nunchucks while also shooting towards the enemy. Unfortunately, his shots also don't hit the opponent for some reason. I really wish in RWBY, guns did more damage. Because if guns are involved, they usually should do more damage, in my opinion. But for some reason, he just doesn't damage them. But yeah, he's probably just going to scale around Blake. Blake and he were kind of on par, I guess. Elia probably around the same parts there. Elia lost against Blake, I think, and I think her loss is kind of fair. Her weapon of choice isn't really that strong. It's kind of slow and telegraph. The infant has that range abilities. Maria is so weird. I think she actually just barely beats out Neo, and that's it. When your opponent has super speed, Maria will probably lose. When your opponent can break your aura in one hit, then Maria might lose. There isn't an argument that Adam is such a bad fighter that he might lose to Maria, but nah. I think Neo is just not that great of a fighter. In my opinion, I guess. It's so weird. The power scaling stuff is so weird. I think Adam, theoretically, should be really strong because he should just one-shot the opponent. But Yang and Blake just didn't get hit in the Volume 6 fight. Talk is kind of scary. She's a really scary fighter because she just doesn't get damaged at all. But here's the thing. Her semblance also kind of sucks. I also want to put Talk just here and that's it. If Maria at her prime fought against Talk one-on-one, I think Talk would have lost. I guess the big advantage of Talk that had against Maria is that Maria didn't know what her semblance was doing. If the opponent knows that, Talk's ability only lasts for a single minute, then they can just stall by running away, finish her off once her semblance runs out. And I think Vice's abilities, Harry's super speed, and Adam's his own ability has that advantage. Being invulnerable in entire full minute is strong. It can be strong, but you need teammates to pull down the opponent so that you can approach them. Otherwise, the opponent can just run away from you. Ospen is strong. We barely saw anything from his fight. It's probably something like this. He fought off screen, but he probably was using a lot of magic skills and whatnot. But he lost against Cinder, so I can't put him about higher than this. Then again, he also nuked. Oscar can nuke. No matter what you think about all these characters, Ospen and Oscar has a nuke. And last I checked, Cinder just can't escape from a nuke. Penny, despite being a robot and being a maiden, can't survive from a nuke. Hazel can survive from a nuke. All Salem can survive a nuke. When in doubt, you nuke them. When you have nukes on your disposal, who gives a shit about main powers? Gira is strong, I guess. But he's still just that, strong. And he was also punching, getting evenly matched by the other opponent. I'm not going to put him about higher than this, unless he's just that strong. But even if he's looks really bulky and buff, he just doesn't feel that strong because the opponent was also evenly matched in terms of strength. Either that, maybe the two brothers who fought against Kira were just that strong or something. Roman Torchwick, kind of weak. Yeah, Blake with certain diversions can probably beat him. But then again, he did hold his own against Sun and Blake for a while, so I don't know. Maybe it's around here. It's probably around here. Blake with more semblance dust can beat Roman. And without dust, they're probably evenly matched. Sun and Blake did team up against Roman. Whatever, Blake probably got stronger or something. Which makes me think that Ruby should be a lot weaker, but I don't know. And she could, always use the War Scythe mode of her Crescent Rose. She doesn't do that, but if she decides to do that, she could be a really good fighter, I guess, in terms of Ruby. Whatever, she's kind of bad. He's kind of bad. Lost against a little kid. Yeah, it's probably something like this. His aura is also, for some reason, really, really low. How did Kid Cinder manage to deplete his aura? Super bad. Neptune's kind of bad. But he can electrate, fight the war, and he probably has some water-related symbols, but he has some psychological reasons to not use it. So, meh. I don't know. I really don't know. Neptune just seems like a really huge pushover. We are ranking characters in their prime, and Velvet at her prime was able to take down a robot, but that was just single robot. And Wise now probably could manhandle those robots with her giant armor summons. So can Blake beat those robots? I really don't know. It's probably around something like this. It's probably something like this. Could you have Yang beat that giant robot? Probably use her semblance. Watts is just because I put Iron really high like this makes me want to put Watts high too. But Watts is high here. Ironwood is high here, especially because of that laser gun weapon that also defies the laws of physics and can hurl the opponent with a single punch or so when it hits Winter. That weapon is kind of dumb. And he also had a huge advantage field with fighting in the arena. In a street fight, he's not that strong. He just got really lucky against Ironwood, I guess. Robin is strong, definitely strong. She's a really good ranged fighter. She does a really good job at supporting others, but I'm not so sure when she's fighting close combat because her close combat options are really bad. So she does a really good support. Unfortunately, she's just not very good at close combat. So it's something like this, honestly. But then again, Crescent Rose is kind of a bad weapon, so meh. Yeshihatsu, that was his name, right? And his man, he has this giant sword, and it seems so heavy and slow. I think Ren's guns and his gun swords might actually be better, but When's like close range also kind of sucks. So it's probably something like this. Do I even rank Cardoon? Like she was in a mech. I guess I could rank the mechs, and I don't think Pyro can just like lift up that mech with her semblance. Could she? Could Pyro like do that? Like destroy the mech with just with her semblance? Could Pyro do that? But nah, I think she would have a really hard time against the literally giant mech. So yeah, Cardoon and her mech. She only had one fight, and she was able to tank a 1-on-3, but she also wasn't that great. But she was strong. She was definitely strong, so probably somewhere around here. Would Crow have done better in the 3-on-1? I don't think so. She had the maiden powers, but she also kind of sucked. So yeah, it's probably around here. The Hound can summon other Grim. That makes things much more complicated. But she's probably around here. Maybe something like this. Maybe. Like, I'm not even thinking about this hard. Lionheart. He got slapped by Oscar and fell down the stair. That was funny, but his weapon of choice is also pretty cool. It's mostly range stuff, but when it comes to close range, he kind of sucks. At least Torchwood can like somewhat fight in the close range. Ilya is mid. Like we should probably put it this way. Watts is probably way weaker than the Gunchucks. Yeah, this build looks way better. Like I don't want the strong hunter to be clogged up. Raven is insanely strong. She did a 1-on-1 against Cinder and won. And Cinder was not weak back then. Like she was strong, and that fight was super fast and super cool. And Mofton did some really good stuff. But yeah, I think Raven probably could still beat the shit out of Cinder any day, anytime. Penny at her prime defeated Cinder while getting double teamed by Emerald, by the way. She barely didn't fight. Like, obviously, if I were to rank her or something, she'll be something like this. Yeah, I honestly don't want to rank the others. They barely fought, or we all know they're just jobbers, like something like this. And yeah, that's about it. That's the power scaling video. Hope you all enjoyed that one. But if you're like just tuning in to see what the hell is going on, then I just want to like quickly explain all my rankings. So first of all, these are literal gods, so obviously they're the strongest. Then there's godly. Selm is immortal, she has magical powers. Osprey and Oscar can nuke everything. Like they have, at their prime, they had a powerful nuke that they could have used. Osprey chose not to use those nukes and got lost against Cinder. He definitely should have. He probably just was afraid that his students might get killed by the nuke. So that's probably why he didn't use it, but otherwise, yeah, he can use it. Hazel is stupidly strong. He can ignore pain. His body is built different. He can just tank all those magical hits from the other maidens. And these are the maidens. They're all maidens. They're interchangeable, but it doesn't matter. Cardoon has the giant mech. Penny is Magneto. Mero has that broken semblance. Amber has maiden powers. But she also kind of sucks at those maiden powers. Nora can if she constantly carries something that can electrocute herself, she's absolutely broken. She destroyed a door that Weiss with her giant armor, and nobody else could do anything about it. Neo couldn't have destroyed that door in a million years, but Nora was able to do it. The Hound couldn't even destroy that door. But I also put the Hound really high because the Hound can summon other Grim, and I did allow summons. Otherwise, Weiss wouldn't be this high. Glinda can control. She has the power of Jean from X-Men. She can control gravity and do all sorts of crazy shit. Clover has the super gun fishing rod abilities, and he can yank the opponent's weapon out of their hand and disarm them. And he's also just a really good fighter overall. Tyrion is just strong. His semblance sucks, but he's strong. Ironwood has that super goddamn laser weapon that can like destroy your aura and has a really good range power. And that stupid weapon also somehow able to disregard the laws of physics and able to punch the opponent with superpower info. Ironwood wasn't hitting Winter's hard. He either does that or he somehow has superpower punches and just didn't use that against Watts, I guess. Crow is a legendary hunter. He's pretty good. Adam is a strong hunter, but he's super rash and angry. But still, he has one kill move that's still really strong. Harriet is has super speed. Weiss has her summons, and she has so many ranged attacks. Talk can become invincible for 1 minute, and that's still a really good move. She can win a lot of fights with it, but not these against these characters because these characters can run away or have certain ranged attacks. Or in the case of Chloe, he can just like Bola talk or like rap talk in her fishing rod strings, I guess. Glenn and others have a way to like stall or beat the shit out of talk. That's one thing. Maria could beat the shit out of Neo. We're talking about primes, right? So this doesn't actually make sense at all. We're talking about primes. So at her prime, she's probably around here, probably. The Hound can like summon a bunch of other Grims, so that makes things much more complicated. But at her prime, she probably was here. I'm talking about the characters when they're at their prime. So yeah. Yo is really good at dodging, and her umbrella defies the laws of physics. She does lack the ability to damage the opponent, but whatever, that's what. Elm is super powerful, she's super strong, and she can like has a giant hammer. Yang can beat the shit out of you and blow you up, and her semblance is good. Mercury is really good assassin. Velvet can copy other people's skills. Emerald has power of illusions, and her chains defies the laws of physics. Robin can like support from a really good long range. Her long range game is insanely strong, but she can just run away and attack from long range. Ruby Crescent Row is too clunky, but her semblance is really strong. Wine, his attacks are kind of slow, but when he grabs you, it's over. Blake, she's also good at fighting, but that's it. Her semblance is kind of good, but not good enough to let her damage the opponent. She kind of lacks the ability to damage her opponent, I guess. She's good at running away, but she has problems getting in and being aggressive. Gilroy is strong, but his choice of weapons kind of sucks. It's his bare fists, and some probably is probably stronger than Gira. His gunchucks are really good, but unfortunately his gunshots just doesn't hit the opponent for some reason. And also nunchucks don't hurt the opponent. But his gunchucks theoretically should be strong because he like between the nunchuck hits, he's also throwing out gunshots, but those just don't hit the opponent very well. Torchwick, he has some certain ranged attacks, but in close range, he kind of sucks. Watts, he only had a field advantage against Ironwood. Otherwise, he's a jobber. He has to have so many advantage in technology and field advantage, and I'm in this deal is made from perspective of who can win in a one-on-one fight in a non-Terrian mattering fights, and Watts needs technology and Tyrion layout advantage, area advantage in order to win. Lionheart has that cool long range weapon, but he sucks in close combat. So in that sense, he's kind of similar to Robin, I guess. But Robin can at least somewhat fight, whereas Lionheart sort of can't. Ilya probably can fight a little bit better than Lionheart, I guess. Renz has so many bad options when he's fighting. His his tying up ability and him being able to hurl himself towards his opponent by Spider-Man himself across the field is such a risky and bad move. His long-range pistols doesn't do anything at all for some reason, and his gun sword thingy it just doesn't. His pistol knives just don't do anything. It's super clunky. Yatsuhashi has a giant sword and his attacks are super slow. This guy is like fine, but like he just doesn't have anything. His aura seems to go really low, really fast for some reason. And Jean is a novice. He can't do much, but he had a lot of fights, but overall he lacks a gun. He doesn't have that anime bullshit semblance power. He's good in the team combat, but in a one-on-one fight, he's kind of bad. Neon, she has the ability to damage the opponent. I guess Flint is stronger than Neon, honestly. Neon can like dodge and like hit the opponent, but like her hits are just doesn't damage. She just likes playing around with her opponent. And in an actual war, she probably just lacks the damage output. Flint is good, but he doesn't just like. It's still people can just still like completely like ran through his like sound attacks. They can just ignore it and just beat him up, I guess. Coco, he can like Coco probably should be higher. Coco has that machine gun, but in a close range combat, she absolutely sucks ass. And in RWBY, gun bullets are super slow for some reason. And Malachita sisters, they don't have ranged attacks, and even in their close combat, they can fight. During the multi-action, they were really fast, but unfortunately, if they were animated now, their attacks would probably be a lot slower. And Neptune, he kind of sucks. He's afraid of the war. He doesn't use his semblance at all, and his weapon of choice kind of sucks. Carton is super bad. These two are bad. I just put Whitlet there for the lols, I guess. That's it. I don't want to rank any other characters at all. I don't care. That's about it. Hope you all enjoyed that discussion.